All right, now talking Detroit Lions news. There has not been a lot over the past week, but one major thing obviously happening in the NFL right now are OTAs, which I still don't exactly know if the teams in the NFL came out and said this, or if the players in the NFL came out and said this, but they were like, "This is super voluntary. We don't need everybody to show up," which is kind of why like the whole Aaron Rodgers thing is still up in the air. But the Lions, I think the first thing that we get to notice and something that I'm super excited about is 5 players that showed up and came ready to work: Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, DeAndre Swift, Romeo Okwara, Trey Flowers.
When I hear that list of names, to me, that those guys stand out as like the leaders of this team now.
That's exactly what they say in the Free Press article. Those seem like the 5 like captains, 5 like leadership council for this team moving forward, which when you think about it, that's a solid group of guys.
Man, I really don't want to like the hate Trey Flowers. I really don't. I honestly, since this whole new staff has been here, I kind of just forget about him a lot of the time, especially with our draft being so heavy in the trenches and also bringing in Brockers and like bringing back Okwara. Like he's almost an afterthought a lot of the time for me now. But
100%.
Like, every interview I've ever seen with the guy, he seems like a nice guy. He seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders and like likes that leadership role. And then I know we just had an unbelievable amount of the Patriot way over the last couple of years, but like he probably does embody that actual mentality pretty well, which is why he got an enormous contract from Pop Quinn when he got here. So he probably is a great character guy. I wouldn't put that past him.
Yeah, and like one name that I would love to see on that list and probably replace Trey Flowers in a couple of years, Jeff Okudah.
I think
that guy needs to be the leader of our secondary.
I think he's going to have a rebound year.
Hopefully.
Because
he needs to be.
Well,
he needs to have one.
He had a pretty on and off year last year, we'll say nicely.
So that is so super nice.
He's got a lot of room to go upward. And we've touched on it before on the show, but corner is a hard position to adapt from college to the NFL level. A lot of guys do take a bit more time with that spot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm optimistic that him coming out of the draft last year, like definitive number 1 corner, like hopefully he'll take steps here in year 2 and like really start to show why he's special.
Yeah. And
taking a 3, he has to be special.
Yeah. And you think back to his start to the season last year. I mean, his assignments were no joke. He had Allen Robinson in week 1. I think DeAndre Hopkins in week 2, right? That was our second game against.
It was a little bit later, but
was it? I'm sorry, Devontae Adams in week 2, and then I think it was DeAndre Hopkins in week 3.
He also had to deal with Julio.
Yeah, Julio.
Our cornerback like group last season was like pretty depleted pretty early. Besides Trufant to that contract, he was banged up the whole year.
2 games. Yeah, Coleman went down in week 1.
Yeah, we saw a lot of
Warmier who stepped up, and Mike Ford.
What's his name? Roberts.
Daryl Roberts.
Saw a lot of him playing. And
saw a lot of him. Yeah. So
we said this before. We've touched on it before. This cornerback group was the lowest rated in the NFL last year by a mile.
Yeah.
Statistically, by PFF, like they were abysmal rankings.
Yeah. So they're expected to have a lot of players from the 90-man roster, which, wow, they're going to have to, I think, 15 cuts?
Yeah.
Before preseason? No, I don't know if they had to have 75 before preseason, but are they down to like 53?
It's the final 53-man roster.
Yeah.
Is the
they're going to have to make a lot of cuts.
Well, this is good though. I mean, you want to, with a team that's basically rebuilding on every level of the ball, you want to have a wide net of people in the building to like pick and choose. Like we got to field the team.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
We need a lot of help.
But yeah, no, I like the fact that this whole, and maybe we're reading too much into it, but this whole idea that they're getting participation, the main guys are showing up. It's nice to really see like a team that seems like they're all on the same page. and they all want to be there, and they all want to play for that team, and they all want to play for that coach.
They're not being forced to take laps like Patricia was having them do.
They're not getting berated in the film room by this overweight fathead.
Yeah, man, it's hard to even think back to that. Like a couple of years ago, he was literally like talking shit about players in front of them watching film. Like, so far, I mean, we obviously don't know what happens behind closed doors in Allen Park, but like on first appearances, it kind of seems like it's like everyone's sitting around the campfire and like having a good time and kumbaya, and
it really does.
So the vibe is very different. I'm super excited just to see honestly what Dan Campbell has in store. He's, of all these Lions moves this offseason, he's still probably my biggest question mark. I really don't know much about him. I know that he's got some experience with the Dolphins as their interim head coach. I know he was on the Saints with Sean Payton and stuff, but like I'm very curious to see what kind of like actual like head coach he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, his opening press conference was literally nothing but coach speak.
Yeah.
It was 20 minutes of him saying, we're going to get down in the trenches. We're going to bite their kneecaps off. Like we're going to get hit, but we're going to come back, hit harder. It's all coach speak. He's not laying out any plans, but I mean, I don't think coaches really do that.
Well, that's why I'm interested though, is because we really don't know what his philosophies on offense are going to be like. Defense, no idea. Like it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird to see another like take on this team.
Yeah, based off the coach speak, it really does seem like we're going to pound the rock this year.
Well, we should. I mean, we have DeAndre Swift in his like best years, and he's inexpensive right now, and we have a
solid
beefy offensive line that's arguably the best in the NFL. I'm going to keep saying it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to run the rock, and we've talked about before. Jared Goff needs that to succeed in the play action and play well.
So speaking of our beefy offensive line, Penei Sewell signs his rookie contract. Huge. I believe it was 4 years with $24 million guaranteed.
No fifth-year option, though.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of interesting.
It is interesting. But, I mean, like, he probably is like, I don't want a fifth-year option. And they're like, all right, cool.
Well, but from a front office perspective, I mean,
you probably wanted one on there.
You want one because it's going to guarantee. Like, let's say that he is an unbelievable player and he like is one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, which honestly is a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Like he's generational talent in air quotes coming out of the draft. So there's a possibility that he lights it up. 4 years goes by. You're going to want him on that fifth-year deal where you got him for one more cheap year while you work out a deal. I know a lot of teams now, if they fall in love with the guy, they'll just like
they'll
work something out
right
fast.
There, yeah.
And I hope that that's the reason they're doing this, is that they say, oh, we already love him. We already know he's going to be good. We're just going to re-sign him when he gets there.
When he's the best tackle in NFL history.
And at that point, you're going to get him cheaper than you would in year 5 or 6 or whatever, like the tag would expire.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's interesting, but right now on both sides of that relationship, they both seem like pretty happy with each other. The Lions seem like they love him. He seems like he's very happy to be a Lion.
Yeah.
So maybe it's again another kumbaya moment where they're saying we don't need a fifth year. We'll get it done.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So like switching over and continuing the talk about the offensive line, it's also important to know that Tyrell Crosby, who I think started about 10 games for us last year, it's rumored that he's on the trading block for the right price. So the way that the offensive line is currently set up, we have at left tackle Decker, right? Yeah. And then Vaitai
no, it's Jonah Jackson.
Jonah Jackson, Ragnow, Vaitai, Penei, with Crosby being a good, solid backup right tackle, left tackle.
Man, I almost would have liked to see if we could move Vaitai instead, and then just put Crosby in at guard and see how it goes. But the thing about Vaitai that I think is problematic is that his contract is worse, like notably worse than Crosby's.
You're probably not getting much compared to what you'd get for Crosby.
Crosby's an as good, if not better, player in my opinion than Vaitai, and Vaitai's more expensive and he's got more years on his deal. So I mean, we got we have offensive lineman depth. It would seem. We also drafted another guy in last year's draft. Not Jonah Jackson, but we had another guy in the later rounds who I think
we did. We had a guy from Kentucky, but I have no clue if that guy's still on the team or not.
I like it if we can really. I mean, what do you think they could potentially? What's the right price for him?
Like, I don't know. I feel like if it's not a mid to early first,
whoa, no,
like what's the point? I'd rather hold on to him.
You're joking me.
I guess like okay. I'm sorry. All right, early to mid second. Like that is reasonable for a
second
solid right tackle.
Well, look at a team like the Bengals or something. Like they need Seattle. They need help on the O-line. And I mean, a couple years ago, Seattle, didn't they trade for Russell Okung from or no, they traded for some lineup from the Texans.
I could not tell you.
Well, I think it was Russell Okung. They traded for him.
You're not thinking of Jadeveon Clowney?
They did that too, but no, that was like the linchpin. Whatever lineman they moved, that was like the linchpin of the Texans' like house of cards all starting to fall. I'm not even joking. That draft, because then they had to trade for Tunsil. Yeah. And then, they gave away a bunch of assets for him and kind of got like screwed, and everything literally fell apart from there.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, so Seattle is someone who could use his services. I think I'm kind of in the same camp as you, like, unless it's like a really good offer, I just would sit on it and hold on to him while you got him, because you never know who could go down. Like, he's a dependable backup. Like, but if it's like a second round pick, I mean,
I guess that's a high pick. No, yeah,
that's a high pick on a team.
It's got to be from a crappy team, though. If we're getting the second round pick from the LA Rams, it's like, what's the point? We're picking 57th overall, which I guess is like not the worst, but
I think the upside of someone at that spot in next year's draft, though, is more potentially than Crosby, who's a limited backup on this team right now.
Yeah, that's true. But also at the same time, like I just feel like somebody's going to go down. It's inevitable, right?
Well, okay, but here's the thing about right now with the Lions. Who cares?
Who gives a shit?
We just need draft picks. We need assets to build for next couple of years here.
Yeah,
we're going to be bad this year. We're not going to be competitive. Well, playoff competitive, right?
Yeah.
So if you can get a nice chunk of change for him, I'm cool with it. He's not part of our core group of the future.
Mm-hmm. No, that's so true. Vaitai also doesn't have any guaranteed money over the next 3 years of his contract.
So they could just cut him and be done?
Probably, yeah.
Well, we'll see how he does this year. I mean, if it's anything like last year, I'd be pretty quick to do that.
They're saying that this is probably going to be a make or break year for him. So
has to be.
Yeah. So that's good.